Welcome back, everybody. The state is hard at work making sure the Alamo is not forgotten. It's in the middle of around a $500 million renovation project on the historic site. And not only are they conserving the church and the long barrack, but the project will also add an education center and an upgraded visitor center and museum. It's all expected to be completed by 2027. Joining us today for some perspective on this project is Emily Bauckham, the Associate Director of Public Relations at Alamo Trust, Inc. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm so excited to be here with you.
Talk to me just a bit about why this renovation and why this project was so necessary.
Well, long-term Austinites have likely been to the Alamo, and in the past it might take you 10 to 15 minutes. You take your picture out front, you walk through the chapel, and then you leave. That's not a very informative experience. So the state is investing a lot of money to reclaim the battlefield footprint and build world-class facilities to make sure that people get not just the story of the Battle of the Alamo, but the entire 300-year history. For example, did you know that the Long Barrack was home to the first hospital in Texas? Or that the U.S. Army added the arch known around the world as the Alamo? So there's hidden gems like that in the history that we want to get out there. $550 million broken down. It's $400 million appropriated by the state legislature in the last session 2 years ago, plus $150 million being raised privately.
You mentioned the battlefield there. We know we recently reported from the Texas General Land Office, they purchased the Menger Hotel and the Crockett Hotels right there. They say to protect that battlefield footprint. What does that really mean when people hear reclaiming the battlefield footprint?
Well, starting in the late 1800s, when the U.S. Army left the Alamo and moved to Fort Sam Houston, which still exists today, we saw commercial development move into Alamo Plaza. So if you've been there in the past several decades, you've seen tourist attractions right across the street from this world famous historic site. People think that when they go that this building and our background here, the Alamo Church, that is the only, that's the Alamo. People think this right here is the Alamo, but it was actually a thriving 4.5-acre compound that encompasses a whole city block. So we'll be able to reclaim that footprint and even have interpretation to show, hey, where the northern wall, where the Mexican army breached and the battle began, that's where this federal building is now. Our new museum slated to open in 2027 across the street from the Alamo Church. The western wall of the Alamo compound ran through those buildings. So we can have interpretation in the lobby to show just how big the footprint really is. And buying these hotels will help with that.
And what does that mean for some of those commercial developments and things that you see right across the street? Will they be staying? Will they be going?
A couple of years ago, the state of Texas bought out several of those businesses, and now the historic buildings across the street are undergoing a transformation. We are keeping the historic facades and building the museum up. One building is from 1882, another building's from the early 1900s. They are historic in their own right. We'll be building up for 8 chronological galleries and then adding 2 extra floors for a visitor center, or for an event center on the top. An event center as big as Texas for 700 people. And it's really going to add to the history. For example, one of the buildings that will be incorporated into the museum was a Woolworth building. In March 1960, it was home to one of the first peacefully desegregated lunch counters in Texas. Unfortunately, that lunch counter's been lost to time, but the outline remains so that we can build up and have a free civil rights exhibit on the first floor of the museum to show the fight for freedom did not end in 1836. It continued, and it continues today at Alamo Plaza.
You talked about the image here behind us. Many Central Texans are probably familiar with taking their picture outside.
Yes.
What's gotten a lot of attention is that this picture might change a bit. There was a lot of reporting earlier this year on an enclosure that's been approved to go over top of the church area. Explain that for folks.
I'm glad we have this photo up. It's a great visual. So the roof of the Alamo Church is 104 years old. It's only the second roof the Alamo Church has ever had. There was no roof during the battle. The U.S. Army added a roof to make it into a quartermaster depot, a warehouse for supplies. And then in the early 1900s, that wooden roof was replaced with a concrete roof. And it's just not standing the test of time after 104 years. For the love, care, and maintenance of the Alamo, we will be replacing it. There's a lot of drainage issues. Water goes over the front and then down the facade. A new roof will help push water away from the Alamo Church and preserve the fragile limestone walls. It does mean starting next year, we will be adding a scaffolding. It's called a temporary protective enclosure. Almost looks like an airplane hangar, and it's going to protect the inside of the Alamo Church during the whole time we are taking off the current roof and replacing it. However, this front facade that people love to take pictures with from around the world, it will still be visible, and so you're welcome to come. We are open during these renovations with new buildings. The Ralston Family Collection Center, for example, behind the Alamo Church, has more than 500 artifacts on display. Everything from Santa Anna's uniform, Davy Crockett's rifles, and just in the past month, Pee Wee Herman's bicycle.
Yes, I know we have a previous story, I believe, on our website on that.
Yes.
Lots to see. I think last question here before we let you go, the big question on everybody's mind is this on track to be completed on time?
It is. So the Visitor Center and Museum is on track to be completed by the end of 2027. The Texas Cavaliers Education Center will open March 6th of next year. So that is the 190th anniversary of the Battle of the Alamo. Very exciting. And it will include a distance learning lab, so children from Central Texas who can't get to the Alamo on their field trips will be able to have the Alamo transported to their classrooms.
So much to look forward to.
Yes.
Emily Baucom, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us a sneak peek of what we can expect in the years to come.
Come remember the Alamo with us.